Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. We got the latest breaking Manchester United news. Ederson deal, basically all but complete. I mean, in my opinion, I'm ready to call it and say the deal is done. From the updates, from the reports, it's pretty much just sitting there waiting to be announced, I guess, in that regards. So we'll get into that. We'll get into the fine details. The transfer price seems very favorable. Much better. I think we were talking about the other day that 45 million, and it seems like we're going to be paying less than that, and I guess at least in the base fee, and then plus whatever the add-ons are. But base fee and add-ons are two different types of things when it comes to transfer. They don't go together. And we don't pay them at the same time anyway. So we'll get into that. We got a little bit more updates on Mateus Fernandes. We got some decently big updates surrounding Sandro Tonali, Ederson. And also there's a discussion to be had to talk about Marcus Rashford's situation, because right before we've gone live, about an hour ago or so, Barcelona have agreed a deal for Anthony Gordon for 70 million. So how and if that may potentially impact Rashford's deal at Barcelona. Some people thinking that maybe now it doesn't get done. Maybe he comes back to United. I don't think he's coming back, but I do think that there is a possibility that maybe, he doesn't actually end up staying there. He ends up going somewhere else. So we'll be discussing everything over the past 24 hours, all the way up to date, as we usually do. I hope everybody's doing well. Smash the like button. It's a massive help to the channel. Get that done, whether you're watching live or you're watching after. It helps the stream, it helps the channel, it helps other Reds find the channel and the videos. So if you could get that done for us, people, I greatly appreciate it. If you're new and you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell icon. And just real quick, before we do actually really, for real, get started, I just want to say, if you guys didn't see, I put out a post yesterday. I apologize. I had a family thing happen, and I was just unable to do a live stream yesterday, dealing with that. I do have an announcement that I need to make at the end of the show, so if you want, stick around for that. It's going to have to do with sort of, the live shows and whatnot. So, but other than that, I hope everybody's doing well. I see a couple people are here early. Okay. Axe, Lucky, Renosa was here, well and early, dropped a like, said hello to Lucky, and to support me and the channel, and, give, a friendly thumbs down to Axe. But anyway, hope everybody's doing well. All right. Let's start with the Ederson thing, okay? Let's start with that, because this one is sort of short, sweet. I mean, not that short, but we're to the point where basically we're just sitting here and waiting for it to be, I guess, get a here we go from Fabrizio, which could be any day, could literally be tomorrow, with the way things have gone. But this is how it started off today. So Sky Sports coming out about 8 hours ago, they came with an update that Manchester United are close to agreeing a deal with Atalanta for Ederson. Talks are in the final stages over a fee of £35 million guaranteed, plus £3 million in add-ons. A full agreement could be reached by the end of the week. Okay, then Alex Crook and Talk Sport came with their own update an hour after that one, saying United are closing in on a deal with Atalanta to make Ederson their first summer signing. Fee being worked on is around the £38 million mark. Tutto Mercato then came out with an update shortly after that one, saying Ederson is expected to sign a contract worth €5 million per season at United. And if you're wondering what that equates to in weekly wages, that is around 96,000 euros a week, which, if you want me to convert it to pounds, I guess I'll do it for you live. All right, 96,000 is 1, 2, 3. That's about 83,000 pounds per week. that it apparently is what we're going to be paying him per week. So I mean, just we could pause right there because there's a couple more updates that go to this, but I just want to throw this out there. Around 35, 38 million. Listen, they're saying 38 million. The initial report from Sky Sports was 35 million guaranteed plus 3 million in add-ons. Very low in add-ons. Those could sometimes be a bit more expensive. 5 million, 6, 7 million, depending on what it is. There might be a couple different ones in there. Okay, 35 million pounds guaranteed. I'm pretty sure the quoted price the other day was 40 to 45 million pounds. So it seems like we're getting him cheaper than we initially thought, and also the wages are like very nice. About probably 100,000 pounds a week. I know I said it's like 80 something. I find it a bit, it could be 80 something, but usually there's like some hidden stuff in there that they get a little bit extra in it. But yeah, I mean, listen, again, for a player like him, who I would say is definitely an upgrade to Ugarte, there's no doubts about it, right? And if we're revamping the midfield, and I've been saying for quite some time, we can definitely do better than Ugarte. We can definitely get a player that can give us more than Ugarte. I think he fits that bill. I'm not saying he's a world-class player, but he ain't rubbish either. Some of the talk people are really hammering this guy because he doesn't have like international caps and stuff, so they just call him rubbish. I don't think he's a rubbish player. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. I think he's definitely an improvement in Ugarte. I see that as a plus. 35 million pounds, 3 million in add-ons, and like 80, 90,000 pounds a weekly wage. I think it's a very good move. It's a very good move. It's a low risk. He's an a little bit more experienced player, right? He's about 26 years of age. So I think it's a very good move. It's a very good first signing for Manchester United. And this one looks like it's going to be wrapped up over the next couple days. And we've already started sort of basically, shifting towards the next one. Which is very encouraging. We've gotten a couple other reports. Obviously, the Mateus Fernandes story is a bit hot, and there's still some discrepancy going on between, Elliot Anderson and Tonali. But more sort of encouraging updates for Tonali today, where it hasn't been that encouraging in recent days. But then on the flip side, not so encouraging updates about Elliot Anderson. Per se, if you want Elliot Anderson. But I do like Sandro Tonali very much. I said this, been saying this, but we talked about it a lot last show. And, listen, you get me Ederson, you get me Mateus Fernandes, and you get Tonali. I'm a very happy person. Very happy person. Sadiq's here, says, hey, bud, now that Ederson deal has been done, we need to get Mateus Fernandes. Yes, and we need to get the other midfielder as well. How much was Ugarte? Is Ederson cheaper and better? We paid about 50 million for Ugarte, and I would say, well, Ederson is definitely going to be cheaper, 100%. And I would say, right off the bat, Ederson is better than Ugarte. Yes. And the reasons is that, like we've seen, okay, and like I've been saying, Ugarte is a very limited player. And, it was a bad buy. It was a bad buy on our part. At PSG, he was at PSG. He was fairly down the pecking order. And they didn't really want him for the reason of, as we've seen, he's not really that great on the ball. He's a very limited type of center defensive mid. He's not that great on the ball. He's not a great progressive passer. Look who PSG basically replaced him with. They sold us Ugarte. They went and got João Neves, somebody who is literally basically the complete opposite of Manuel Ugarte. And that's obviously what they were looking for. So they got rid of the less versatile player. They got in the more versatile player. and they're very happy with what they got going on, and we've sort of reached the same conclusion. So we did. It was a wrong buy on Ugarte. It wasn't. We didn't make the right call on that. It's clear as day to see as how it's gone throughout his performances. Ederson, for me, is definitely more versatile, can definitely do a lot more things than Ugarte can. And, we're getting him for, listen, I think for a player like him, 35 million, I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal. We're not breaking the bank. We're getting in a better player. And it's one piece to the try puzzle, basically. Your transfer list is never going to be fulfilled. I think the best for Ugarte is loan to buy in the Serie A. You know what, Reynoso, though? I think we could just outright sell him. I did see that Simon Stones... Was it Simon Stone? No, Samuel Lucker, sorry. My apologies to Simon Stone. So I did see Samuel Luckers put out a story that United are reluctant to hawk him around, I think that is the term he used, because they know that it's he's basically unsellable. It was a very negative, bad update. Really, basically saying that United don't really want to try and parade him around to try and sell him because it'll devalue him and nobody's really interested in him. And basically he concluded that by saying there's a very good chance that Ugarte will stay. Well, I'll just say to Samuel Luckhurst, unless you have better sources than Fabrizio and all these other top-tier journalists, I think your story is full of shit, because it's been reported for quite some time, literally since January at the very least, that there is at least one club that is significantly interested in Ugarte, and that is the Turkish club. I think it's Galatasaray, I believe, right? There is probably another one or two at the very least interested in Ugarte. So there is interest there. So it's not that hard to sell him. It's not like there's zero teams, like he's saying. And United have sort of done this a little bit before. Like, they have decided once or twice or three times when they don't want the player, like, they don't want the player, they're going to move you on. And I do think that Ugarte's future is finished, and I don't think that they don't want to keep him for any reason. They'll look to do a deal. We also did get a better update later on after he put out that update. I believe it came from the iPaper Sport, and I'll quote it exactly in a little bit, but to sort of paraphrase, basically that's what they were saying as well, that Galatasaray is still very interested at the very least, and that basically United don't want him and they do want to sell him. So I don't think Ugarte is staying, but and I think we can definitely sell him. And I think the way things are going, with Ederson coming in and us looking at Mateus Fernandes, and that one seems like could be the next one up, and is decently hot. And then, with ultimately the cherry on top signing, Tonali, Elliot Anderson, Tushimeni, one of these guys, Baleba maybe, because there was a slight update about Baleba as well. I don't think if we are moving for three midfielders, like we've been saying for some time we need to do, I don't see, what's the point in Ugarte saying we're not going to get, it's not like, listen, we're not going to get more money for him, so whatever Samuel Luckhurst is saying that he's going to stay, he's not, he barely played this season. If we sign three brand new midfielders, he's going to barely play again. Like, we're not, it's not like we're going to hit the lottery and all of a sudden he's going to be playing amazing and then we're going to make more money off of him. We this is a point where we have to cut our losses. Okay. It was the wrong buy. They're doing the right thing. They've given him 2 seasons. He hasn't impressed in both seasons. He hasn't improved from the first season to the second season. and he's not wanted. So the normal thing to do is to say, yep, we got that one wrong, cut our losses, we got to move him on, and we got to move forward. And instead of what United used to typically do, which is, oh, but we just bought him 2 years ago, and, it's probably bad for the books, and, the deal is, it's hard to do, and we don't really want to deal with it. We'll just let him sit here. It is what it is. So, yeah. Temis again says, please, Wilcox, I need Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, Ederson, Lewis Hall, Ngoyo, Maxi Araujo, Lewandowski. Tonight is better. Your transfer list, your transfer list is never getting fulfilled. It's like not even realistic. You asked for Coyote, not happening. Scalvini is not happening. Camavinga, there was an update on Camavinga today, not very encouraging, although a little bit of maybe a glimmer of hope. Not Camavinga, Tuchemani, sorry. Anderson, not a great thing. Yamal is never coming. Not even if you went and kidnapped Yamal, threw him in the back of your trunk, drove him to United, and forced him to sign a contract, would he still come to us? So, never happened. One positive is I haven't heard anything about these wages being a problem. No, the wages so far, according to these initial reports, and obviously when the deal is actually announced, we'll get the real figure. But you know what? I'm kind of going with Sky Sports on this one. Sky Sports Lyle. All right. Lyle is everywhere. He's here. He's on Sky Sports. He does it all. This guy. But they're saying that where did that update go? Oh, sorry, that was coming from not Sky Sports. It was coming from Tutto Mercato. They said that the contract is worth 5 million euros per year. We did the conversion. That's 96,153 euros a week, which comes out to about 83,000 pounds per week. So there's no, the wages are not high. It's not like 150,000 or anything. So nobody's going to complain about the wages. Actually, people are probably going to be very happy because some people don't even really rate him. So when they see sort of the low fee, that is 35 million pounds, and then they see sort of the low wages, I think they'll be all right with it. I think they thought maybe we're going to pay a bit more of a premium, and they weren't really about that. But I think United have done a good deal here. Sebastian's here. What's up, Sebastian? So to continue, so we're up to date all the way on Ederson, okay? Time Sport followed up 4 hours ago saying United have reached an agreement with Atalanta for Ederson worth a total of 38 million pounds. Ederson is viewed internally as the long-term replacement for Casemiro. Now that I don't agree with. And I don't know. I will say I don't know how accurate that is. Because, again, for me personally, Ederson wouldn't be the replacement for Casemiro long term. There is another couple players out there. There is Baleba, there is Elliot Anderson, there is Tonali, there's potentially Tuchemani. Okay, those guys would be classified, I think most of us would say, as the long-term replacement for Casemiro. Ederson definitely, in my opinion, fits the bill as the replacement for Manuel Ugarte. So I don't know. The Times Sport says Ederson is viewed internally as the long-term replacement for Casemiro. They're the only ones that have said this. We had previous reports saying that, he's basically just a piece of the puzzle, that he's not the replacement for Casemiro. The other top-tier targets are obviously the replacement for Casemiro. I'm still in line with that. Even though I respect the Times Sports, and they are a credible, outlet, I don't think anybody would say Ederson is the long-term replacement for Casemiro. No, I know what you're saying. Oh, you were speaking about Ugarte. I see most fans are giving the uniformed opinion more than anything. I think he will do well. I think it'll be good. Sebastian says he ain't our top midfield signing. I think will just be in the rotation. Yeah, I mean that's what we pretty much expect. I mean, listen, we most of us pretty much we have good football knowledge. We have a wide range of football knowledge. You know, it's not just United and it's not just the Premier League. We have a wide range of football knowledge. I don't think anybody's here. I don't think anybody is here sitting here saying, and any place across really the fan base, I don't think anybody is saying that Ederson is like this world class superstar, and he's definitely 100% the guy that's filling the boots of Casemiro. Everybody kind of views him as sort of this rotation, good depth option, a player that can come and add something, give us a little bit something extra that we don't have. You know, for me, certainly it's like 2+2. Like, again, I view him as the replacement for Manuel Ugarte. I think he's a better player than Manuel Ugarte. He can give us more than Manuel Ugarte. So in that sense, it makes sense to me. Ugarte right now, essentially, he's not a starter. He is a squad rotation player, if you could even call him that, because he doesn't even really play. But, you know, going forward into next season, we actually need a guy that can play, and that can be a squad rotation, and actually probably has something about him that maybe, you know, he doesn't start as a starter, but ultimately what we would like is for him to challenge as best as possible, you know, healthy competition there. We don't need a huge gap between the starters and the squad rotation or bench players, which is what we kind of have right now. I mean, the gap between Casemiro and Meno and then Ugarte is like this, you know? So I think with Ederson, at least you could get it maybe to here for right now. You know, you add in Mateus Fernandes, you would say it should be much closer, which, you know, is exactly what we need going forward. So, Lucky says Time Sport, no, nothing. They're giving us the low end of the stick. That is unacceptable. Our transfers ought to be great, especially since we are now in UCL. Well, you know what? It's not really the low end of the stick. So we have a lot of business that we have to do. And I think right now, on paper, what they're doing kind of makes sense because of the positions we need, and it seems fairly balanced in the midfield, especially if we spend 80 plus million on one of the guys, and you know, maybe we spend decently big in one of the other positions, like left wing, for example. So I mean, we gotta wait to see how it all comes together, but I'm okay with it right now. I think we're doing exactly what we can for where we are and what we've been. There's some encouraging things going on for United that we are a bit more in a positive light because we are in UCL, but we are, you know, it's only one season. So, I mean, it's not like people are going to come flocking to us. For example, Yan Diomande, if you want that kid, all right, well, Liverpool want him and PSG want him. We're going to go into that. If we were to go into that, number one, it's going to go anywhere from 80 million up. They would like 100 and something million, 20 million for him. Okay, for us to beat those two clubs, very, very hard. Plus paying that money. So we're not at that point yet. We're not at that point. You just have to sort of accept it. Brunoza makes a good point as well. In order to have depth, you have to have people who are willing to come off the bench on a regular basis. If the superior signings come in, Ederson will be a good signing. If they don't, then, you know, pissed. Yep. And that's pretty much, you know, what it is. Listen, you start with Ederson, you get Mateus Fernandes. Really, you know, that's why I said the other day, it'll be a great start and a good start, and it's an encouraging start. And we want it to be like that, but ultimately it'll be defined that start is defined by how we finish. So, if we finish with some bigger players, which there are big names still being linked, Morgan Rogers is one, Tushimeni is another one, and Tonali. If we get these guys in, the picture starts looking a lot better. Ederson, Mateus Fernandes, Sandro, Tonali, Premier League proven quicker. Yeah, that's also another thing too. We have discussed this. 2 out of those 3 signings will be players that have Premier League experience. And kind of we're looking to replicate what we just did in the attack with the midfield. Signed 2 out of the 3 players for Premier League for a quicker, easier, hopefully transition into Manchester United life and into our team. And the third guy, a little bit more adjustment time, but works for us as well in the long run. So, just to put this a little bit more into perspective, James Ducker in the Telegraph, okay, he also came out and then said United sources say the club have yet to reach an informal agreement with Atalanta over Ederson, but talks are progressing, with the initial fee likely to be in the region of £35 million. So he kind of put the brakes on it a little bit and was like, it's not confirmed, but it's basically there. And I mean, with the way these updates have gone over the past couple of days, I mean, today is like we've taken another step forward. There's only like one step left really in this. So, I said on the Red Devil recap, when we were getting those news, the last match of the season, I was saying sometime this week, it does seem like it's Wednesday. It could happen Friday, could happen Saturday. I'd be a bit surprised if it goes into next week, but maybe they save it for the Monday. I don't know. United, we are a football club, but they do like weird business social media things as well. So, I don't know if they want to hold it off till a certain day for the metrics or whatever it may be. But, we've been through transfer seasons and stories before. This deal is basically, without actual official confirmation, this deal is basically done. So, we take another step forward. Hi, Eric. Hope you're okay. Well, I'm all right, but I've been better. But like I was saying, I do have an announcement that I need to make at the end of the show. So if you want to stick around for that, so you know what's going on, then please do that. So that I'd like to keep everybody informed. I feel bad when I can't, or people miss out on something and they don't know, where I am or what's going on. So I do have to say something, but I don't want to do it now. I want to do it at the end of the show for the people that actually care, to know. So I will do it at the end of the show. No, I'm not finishing. It's just an update about, something going on and how things are gonna have to go. So, for a little bit time being. So I'm not ending. But Ederson, this was the last update that we got. This comes from Fabrizio. So I guess we saved the best for last. But he said Ederson is very, very, very close to becoming a new Manchester United player. What is needed is United's final approval. It's down to them to decide to proceed and close the deal. Last week, another club that's not Atletico Madrid called over the recent days, and Ederson said, wait until there's Man United. I'm going nowhere. I'll wait for United. So Fabrizio has confirmed that story, that basically, Ederson told them, reject everything else. I only want United. We obviously love these types of deals. And we also, they Ineos have made it sort of a point. If you think back to last summer when Ruben made those comments that we want players that want us, and we will get the players that want to come to us, and we're not going to chase players around that don't really want us. And I think that's carried on here. That's sort of something Ineos is bringing. So, yeah. So like Ederson seems like he will be the first official Manchester United signing under Michael Carrick's era. I'm happy with the fee and the reported supposed wages. It's I think it's a good move. It's a low risk deal, really. And I think it's an upgrade on Ugarte. So I really can't complain about this. I do think it's positive in that aspect. And I believe that's all we have on Ederson. So we're obviously just waiting for the Fabrizio, here we go, and the official confirmation from Manchester United. So yes. Now switching gears a little bit, we'll go to Mateus Fernandes, because there was a little couple updates on Mateus Fernandes today, and I think there was a couple yesterday as well. Fernandes, let me just pull up his stories. I don't know why. Alright. This is giving me a problem. I don't know why. I gotta manually scroll to find them. So, let me do that. Because when you type in Mateus Fernandes, all the posts about Mateus Cunha and Bruno Fernandes pop up instead of Mateus Fernandes. So, would have helped if I could have just got that the way I did for these guys. But let's see. Let's go all the way back to about 24 hours ago or so, and we'll hit it from there. And we'll go forward. Mateus Fernandes. I do have this Ugarte update here as well that I was talking about earlier. I just seen it, so. Where is Mateus Fernandes? Don't trust anybody but your mama? Fair. The one thing was that Mateus Fernandes' first preference is Manchester United, so that is there was a little bit of rumblings about that. Being reiterated once again. James Ducker kind of gave us like a trio update in this one, but it does involve Mateus Fernandes as well as two others. So the update that he gave us said Manchester United have done extensive work on several midfield options. Mateus Fernandes and Carlos Baleba have been closely assessed. There is also strong admiration for Tchouaméni, but complications remain over any potential deal on that one, and I'll explain in a little bit why, because there was a separate update from that basically is sort of explaining the situation there. One update that we did receive is that Manchester United's three midfield targets are Ederson, Fernandes, and Tonali. Others are on the list, but these three are where we are heading now, for now. So quite interesting, because United are still reportedly trying to get Elliot Anderson, but we have been and are still are, you know, behind Manchester City in this one. And so it's a little bit interesting because we might see us really pivot to Sandro Tonali, because they have showed that they won't waste a whole lot of time on players that are not giving us sort of positive feedback, or the feedback that we want that gives us sort of a strong indication that they really want to come to us. They'd rather deal with, and go and try to do deals that players that give us like a very strong response. Which it does sort of make sense. I mean, you don't want to be sitting there wasting a bunch of time for somebody that's never really going to pick you. So, I can't find that update. Nuno will be staying at West Ham. Kobe Mino, Bruno Fernandes. We already told Mateus Fernandes staying in England will help you. Well, listen, I'm not worried about like for me right now the Mateus Fernandes thing, unless we decide to not do the deal. I think that we will do the deal. I'm not worried about sort of any of the competition. Reportedly, supposedly, that there might be from Arsenal or PSG. It does seem like he's given us priority on it. We love being in priority. I just explained that this is what they're trying to target in players, that they give us this positive response that, we're not going to be wasting our time trying to do a deal. Obviously, we still have to fight off competition, but if the player gives us a very positive, initial response when we go to talk to them, then we will try and go all in on them. And, I think like the Arsenal thing and the PSG thing, they're just names sort of being linked in there. But I think as far as interest goes and seriousness, I think we're the most serious, and I think we're the most interested. And we obviously have the most interest from the player side to us as well. So I think that just, right now we're just doing a little bit of the waiting game for Mateus Fernandes. It's just going to take a couple weeks or so, or something like that. Anderson is going to City, and I think Tonali's price will be too high. Well, could be, but I mean, they just sold Anthony Gordon for about 70 million. So, and United, it keeps getting reported that United will spend significant money on at least one player. So, if Tonali is going to be the guy that costs a lot of money, I still have hope that we won't actually get priced out of that, considering that that's what they seem like they're going to do. That, this one player will be 80, 90, 100 million, somewhere around there. The only way that I think that it really we get screwed out of that one, fee-wise, is if Newcastle really are absolutely just, not dealing. You know what I mean? If they're not willing to properly negotiate and they're just being like sort of dicks about it, they're just like, 125 million. And we're like, all right, come on. Like, let's do a deal. We'll give you 80. And they're like 130 million. Like, okay, so like, there's nothing we could go on here. But I think in terms of the money, we have the money. And I think that I think it's been explicitly sort of explained that at least one signing this summer will be one that we spend a large chunk of money on. They've explicitly set it aside. And I've also said before, I mean, listen, if you rate Elliot Anderson that much, he is in a similar price range to Sandro Tonali to a certain degree. Because Forest are asking for 125 million. City is saying the value him at 80, but there's going to have to be some common ground there. Tonali is kind of around the same thing. Newcastle would probably like to sell him for 125 million. United would probably like to buy him for 80. There's got to be a deal somewhere there in the middle. So I think if you're willing to spend, and you would have to spend that money for Elliot Anderson, you can spend that money for Sandro Tonali as well. The thing that obviously the difference is that Elliot Anderson seems like he wants to go to City over us. So there's not much that we could really do about that other than we've been trying to convince him. But, he's his own person. He makes his own choices. And then, there's Tonali, who has probably a lot of interest, but it hasn't really been... It's not the same in terms of Elliot Anderson, where City have been in like the lead this whole time. Tonali is kind of just like sort of an open hit right now. It's not like they're saying that, City are leading the race for him, or Madrid are leading the race for him, or United are leading the race for him, or whoever else is interested. So, I think it would be Ederson, Fernandes, and Baleba, and that will be it. Well, for the midfield, that'll be it. We're not getting more than 3, but we're definitely going to do more deals than just 3 midfield signings. There's absolutely no way we don't. Palace 1-0, Mateta. All right. Good for Palace. What is that, Conference League final? Be Baleba at 70 million. Could be. Anthony Gordon has been sold for 80 million. Yep. So now Sandro Tonali price could drop a bit by 8 million. You think so? But I don't know. It could go either way, Lucky. It could go either way. Because I do think that Newcastle, they do need to raise funds to a certain degree. I'm not saying like they're like in like major financial trouble, but they're sort of they seem like they're at a point where they're gonna sort of like reconstruct a bit, right? So, selling Gordon for 80, maybe they could ease up a bit on the transfer fee, but also maybe they could just be like, well, we sold Gordon for 80, but Tonali is a much more established player. Maybe probably a little bit more guaranteed, a little bit less risk, because he's not as young as Gordon. He's a little bit more molded, a little bit more ready-made. And so they could argue, well, we sold this kid, young guy with potential, for 80 million. You're getting sort of a ready-made product. You got to pay a more premium fee for the guy. Arsenal pay the 90 million. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I only want Premier League players, the League of Players, how we want to play Manchester United. Is selling Xerxes to Everton. Well, there was an update about Xerxes again as well, so we'll get to that. And it sort of leans into what I was saying in the last show. A little bit of, I said that with Ugarte, I think 100% Ugarte is absolutely done, and he will be sold. I don't think he has a chance, because he's not rated by Carrick or anybody. He seems totally disconnected from the squad. He doesn't play, and he doesn't get opportunities. With Xerxes, he's down the pecking order, but I did say, like, I kind of feel like there is some sort of a percentage in there, 20%, 15, 10, whatever it may be, but that he could maybe stay and not get sold. There has been an update that sort of plays into that a little bit, so we'll get to that. Onana back to sit on the bench and Rashford to sit on the bench. Nah, that's not happening either, Natasha. Onana will be sold. And Rashford is not coming back to us. Rashford's not coming back to us. Regardless of what happens with Barcelona, we do have a couple Marcus Rashford updates, so I'll get to that. But I kind of want to do the Tonali thing, so let me just do Tonali, okay? Because I don't know what happened to. I did see a couple Mateus Fernandes updates, but I don't know where they went. So if I find them later, I'll bring them back up. But Tonali updates today. We got a couple of them. And one of them, again, coming from Tutor Mercato Web, is that Manchester United are now prepared to push for Sandro Tonali. He is valued at £86 million and is now United's next major target. That's coming from the Italian outlet. A little bit of understanding. Tonali obviously plays in the Premier League, but he's Italian, but his agents are in Italy. And we do have a delegation right now of people that are in Italy. So, you know, Ederson is there as well. So we're obviously there, but we could kind of be doing two things at once because Tonali's agents and stuff are there. So we could be having meetings with them as well while we're doing this Ederson deal. You know, two birds, one stone type of thing going on there. And there was more, so I just gotta find it. I don't know why this happens to me. I sat here and I was going through everything an hour before the show, and there was like a couple different updates, and then like, you know, I go to do the show and the updates just disappear on me. So Fabrizio, what? I don't even know why is that happening. Yeah, something's wrong with this thing. Fabrizio did say United's delegation, and this is what I was just talking about. This was the update, so this was directly from Fabrizio. United's delegation are in Italy to start conversation on several topics. Don't forget, Sandro Tonali's agents are in Italy, and there are more things they can discuss. For example, exits for this transfer window. That's also another good point as well. You know, there is a lot of stuff surrounding Italy. Ederson is there. Tonali's agents are there. We do have a couple players that we potentially may want to sell, that there is interest from Italy in our players. So Italy is a bit of a hot spot right now, you know, for a couple different reasons for us. And we could be working on a bunch of different things. I think it only makes sense. We're there. Might as well do it. Might as well sit down and have the meetings with these people and have face-to-face talks and sort out whatever we could sort out. For, you know, on that front. I don't know why it's doing this, but I have to manually find everything, which is really annoying. So the big report is that United may have potentially are shifting gears a little bit with Ederson basically being done and, you know, going to Tonali and pushing for Tonali. To me, it makes a little bit of sense, I will say, because like I said before, where we used to sort of put all our eggs in one basket, we're clearly not doing that. We clearly have an extensive list, and we're clearly trying to attack as many different sort of options sort of at the same time, and so we can pivot very quickly. You know, it's not like we're just sitting on one player and working on a deal. We're sort of like spread around all over the place. I mean, we have basically like, you know, the Baleba thing was done like a year ago. We'd have to negotiate with Brighton, of course, but like the personal terms and that's sort of sitting in the corner. We've got the Ederson thing going on. We've made some sort of contact with Mateus Fernandes and potentially West Ham as well. We've been chasing Elliot Anderson, and we've been sort of doing like feel outs for Sandro Tonali. So we are like, hitting a bunch of different fronts, which makes sense in a good transfer strategy, because in the past we just pick one player and try and deal with them, and then if we don't get that player, we're screwed because we got to start from scratch for a different guy, which would lead to us taking an eternity to do anything, be very slow, get beaten by the rest of the competition. So we're not doing that. So, there to me, there is a decent possibility that, the Elliot Anderson thing isn't going necessarily well for us. We've been trying sort of very hard to try and convince him, but we're not really getting it done on that part. So, maybe there is sort of a strong feeling that we are going to lose that race. And if that's the case, we do have to keep our eye on, the next pivot, because, if he doesn't come to us and he signs to City, well, that's the end of the story. We then have to go look elsewhere. So elsewhere would be somebody like Sandro Tonali, in that case. What are you guys saying? It's too hot in the UK. It's 35. 1 to 3 days too hot. Listen, you guys. I can't. Listen, you guys complain all the time that it's raining. Yeah, it rains too much in the UK, and now you're getting like real hot weather, and now it's too hot. Yeah. I mean, I know how it is when it gets really hot. It's brutal. Axe says my boy Rashford back. He ain't coming back. But there is actually a bunch of updates about Rashford. And obviously, this is, sort of gotten a bit more hotter now, because Barcelona just agreed to deal for Anthony Gordon for 80 million. So, it's definitely gotten more interesting. It can skip work. It can skip work and training and go drinking together. Hasib says Ineos' plan is top four, not compete. What do you mean? Dorgo and Cunha on the left is enough. Neither is a left winger. Sure, I get that, but I think. Listen, I'm not like an Ineos spokesperson, but I do think they seem to be doing things in tiers, which I don't necessarily think is a bad plan. I know a lot of our fans have very high expectations and very high demands, but I try to be very reasonable about things, because I do think that there's still, as much as I love this football club and as much as I would want us to basically go in like the Hulk and just start smashing everything up and saying like, we're united and like, fuck off, you can't touch us and we'll destroy everybody. We haven't really been that for like 13 years, and we've taken a lot of hits and a lot of L's, and we've been mismanaged, and there's been a lot of damage done to us. I do see these guys making some positive adjustments. And as much as I would like United to go into the transfer market and spend like 400 million and get like all the top world-class players you could have sweet dreams about, it's not reality. We're not there. It can't happen. It's not going to happen. And when you look at the squad, we have a lot of work to do. There is a lot of money that needs to be spent. We can't spend it all in one window. We need to try to do our best. And I think from what I'm seeing so far from Ineos, I do think that I agree that the way they're going about it, they've fixed up our attack. We have to address the midfield. We could address another position or two. On top of that, we have to, really. We need minimum 5 signings this summer. 3 of them are going to be in the midfield. And, with Carrick, at least, we've performed very good on the pitch. and finished well in the Premier League. So if we can have another good season, we can then go on to continue to fix the rest of the squad. They've done better in recruitment of players. So I do think we're making progress to a certain degree in certain areas. And if we can continue with that stuff, we can get there eventually. You know, I know they set their goal to win the title by, what was it, 2028 or something like that. I think they're probably going to fall short on that, maybe by a year. But I mean, I guess you got to be ambitious and you need to set a goal and a target to get close to it anyway. So I do think that they'll probably fall a little bit short because I don't think that the squad is, we're about 2 years away from that. And I think when we get there to that season 2028, I don't think we'll necessarily be able to actually do it. I think if we continue making the good progress and things go well and we don't end up sacking Carrick and stuff like that and we don't end up going backwards, in 2 years' time, we'll be right there. I could see us potentially falling slightly short and we need a little bit more of a push and then go on to do it in, what would be the season after, which from now would be 3 years from now. But yeah. What do you mean you dislike the transfer window is going for us until now? What does that mean? We didn't... The transfer window's not even open. We barely even started. How can you dislike how it was going until now? It didn't even start. Tonali ain't who I would want. Need a player who can sit. Why get Ederson, Mateus, and Tonali? I would much rather Bruno G. But we can't get Bruno G, my friend. Because Bruno G is not available. And I think Tonali is a very good player, and I like Tonali, and I think Tonali would be amazing for us. And I think Tonali could do the job. And I think a midfield of Tonali, Kobe Mainu, Ederson, and Mateus Fernandes is a good start for rebuild. And I think Tonali, next to Kobe Mainu, would be brilliant. I think Tonali is a brilliant player to fit to fill Casemiro's role. He's one of the top center defensive midfielders out there in top 5 leagues. So I think he would do a great job. I see Tonali being about to perform that role more than Anderson. Tchouaméni already that guy though. Well, Tchouaméni is a little bit more ready-made, but the Tchouaméni thing is very hard, and I'm not really trying to include him because I don't really believe that one is viable. I don't believe that one is really that realistic of happening. Now, some things can happen in a little bit because I have, from my understanding, at Real Madrid, with Mourinho coming in, they are potentially looking to sign a center defensive mid. And if that happens, he may be pushed out of the club, but there has been some updates, as I've been sort of alluding to from my feeling, on Tchouaméni, that, number one, he does not want to leave, and number two, United supposedly, apparently, allegedly, are maybe gearing up to put in about a £70 million bid for Tchouaméni, but Real Madrid don't want to sell him. So there's a reluctance for the player to leave the club. There's a reluctance from the club to let the player go. Maybe they're playing hardball right now. Maybe they're doing that to keep his price up, because if they sort of announce that they don't want him, they'll get less for him. But I'm not really buying into all that right now. I think, we have a couple other ones in front of us that are definitely, there's a higher chance of them coming through the door than there is somebody like Tchouaméni at this moment. We're not getting Bruno G, bro. Bruno G is not for sale. There's no way. I mean, they've made it quite clear. They've made it quite clear. It's either Bruno G or Tonali was leaving. They've made this clear weeks and weeks ago. Bruno G is staying. They're not selling him. And if you want him, you're gonna have to pay something so stupid you might as well just go buy Tonali. So Tonali is going to be like 95 million. I'm fine with that. We should have the money for that. Wilcox and Berardi are on an Italian road trip. Well, makes sense, you know? We got a lot of activity going on in there. Every team is improving. This doesn't close the gap. Arsenal City Pool will spend as much as us. Yeah, but so what do you want them to do, though? We can only do what we can do. Hasib. We can only do what we can do. We can't spend 600 million. We don't have 600 million. So, and really we have to, basically, we have to worry about ourselves. We can't really worry about the other teams in that aspect. Because, I mean, as we just seen in the previous window, or the previous summer, okay, Liverpool spent a shit ton of money and they bought a bunch of players and everybody was like, oh my God, because look at the players they bought, all right? And we struggled because we weren't in Europe and we didn't have as much money, but we got players in and we had a better season than Liverpool and finished above them. So they're going to do their business. There's nothing we could do about it. We can't outspend them because we are where we are, and we just have to make progress for ourselves, which we just did. So all we have to do is replicate it again, and replicate it again, and replicate it again. This is, we're fighting a war, you know, and we have little battles, and we're making we're making ground. It's small and gradual, but we're making ground. And the plan ultimately is keep making ground, step by step, step by step. That's the only thing we can do. It is a process. I know we're at the point where it's 13 years. We're very impatient. We're tired of not winning things, and we're tired of seeing rivals win things and stuff like that. But every club that wasn't a winner, that has become a winner or has become better than us, has basically gone through the same thing. They don't do it overnight. It was a gradual process. We don't pay attention to it because it's not our club. People are quick to forget about things, but, you know, it took Arsenal 6 years to win the Premier League. They were dog shit when Arteta walked through the door. All right, they're champions now, but it took them 6 years. It took City however many years it took them, okay? They won the first one. Pep came in. It took him another however many seasons. Klopp, it took a couple seasons. So we are in the same situation. But we're not going to make leaps and bounds in one summer transfer window. This is impossible. And we don't have the money for it. Aim top four, right? Yeah, I mean that's literally the goal for next season. Yeah, the goal for next season is top four. That's what it is. We need consistency. We need stabilization. We need to take us another step forward instead of taking 2 steps backwards. So top four is the goal for next season. If we somehow are in contention for the league, then, you know, go for the league. But at the minimum of minimumist things, top four is the goal. You know, if you find yourself in a situation where we're performing better than better than, you know, we expected, and we're in a situation where, well, you know what, actually, you know, look what we're doing and look where we are, and we're neck and neck, then obviously go for it. But as it stands on paper right now, top four is the goal because we need consistency. We need to come back to being the team that is stable and a place that is looked at, that it's United. They have history, but also they've been very stable and they've been performing very consistently over the past few seasons. They're building something. There is a project going on here that I can buy into. And, you know, some of the players that we have right now, they're selling that as well. I mean, Benjamin Sesko was talking today. He was talking about that. And he said the environment is a very positive place. And, you know, there's a positive project going on here. And I wanted to come here. And I love this football club. And so, you know, he's bought into it. The other players have bought into it. We're selling it to transfer targets. So we got things going on. But it's got to take time. Arsenal getting Rodgers, Poole getting Diomande, City getting Anderson, and we're getting Mateus and Ederson. Yeah, and what about the third guy? Again, we were always going to get a top tier target, a mid tier target, and a lower tier sort of experimental, whatever, potential target. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I agreed with that plan from the very beginning. I don't know, Hasib, what do you want us to do? You want us to sign Tonali, Tuchemeni, and I don't know, Jude Bellingham? Like, you know, I don't know what you're asking for, because we can't do that. That's not going to happen. And we can only control what we can control. Like, again, we're not in a position to really be fighting for Rodgers, for Elliot Anderson, for Tonali. We don't have money to spend like that. So we could get 3 of your best targets and that's it. And we're done. I don't think that's good enough. We need more depth in the squad. This is a team sport. We need a stronger group of players and more depth so that we can survive the season. You know, the teams that are winning things, they have really good depth. So when their players get injured or they're playing like shit or they get suspended, they can get through those tough periods and continue to get points and wins and survive the season. So we could be really short-sighted and spend a shit ton of money on 2-3 targets and call it a day and say, well, but we've got world class, and have a very barren squad. Or we can sort of do what we're doing now and make smart money moves. Still going to spend a chunk of money, but we're not breaking the bank in every single position. You know, these teams, City have won trophies, and they already have a decently very good squad, well-rounded. They can afford to go and spend whatever they want on one player. They can spend 120 million on 2 players if they want. Arsenal just won the league. They can go and spend 80 million on the left winger and spend 80 million on another guy and call it a day. You know, they're City's rebuilding a little bit, but it's maintenance. Arsenal just won the league, so they're going to do maintenance. But I don't think it's that negative, bro. I don't think it's that negative. Why aren't you people like Hase? Don't you love United? Yeah, we love United, but the things that you guys say are unrealistic. Like, what you're saying is a fantasy. That's the point that the rest of us are trying to say. We would all love that to be the case. I can promise you. But, again, you say these things, but where are the things to back it up with how we can actually do it? Because when you say these things, it's like, okay, great. Good opinion. But also, you do realize that what you're saying is completely unrealistic for the real world, right? Like, we don't, like, it's not going to happen. It literally can't. It's not like we can do it and we're not doing it. We actually literally can't do what you're saying. You know. Agreed, but you can overshoot the mark if you're not careful. Aiming to retain Champions League is adding 100 million a year to the budget. That is transformative over a few seasons. And I for me, it's more about consistency It's more about stabilization. We haven't had that. I think that needs to be addressed. I think that sets us up for future success. We need that. I would love nothing more than United to go win the Premier League, but I ain't jumping the gun. I believe in a process. I believe in doing things in what I consider the correct way, the proper way, and I'm okay with going through a process. I don't need to go from A to Z and skip over everything. I'm okay from going from A to B to C to D to E to F to get to where I need to be. Dan says it's a false narrative. Number 6 is just sit up, do anything but get the ball and pass the ball. Ederson is more of a Roy Keane, was more of a boxer, box to box. You do know that for that to happen, we would need the perfect windows, which is very unlikely, and other teams to fail with their transfers. We need perfect windows. Close to it. We need very good windows. But I will tell you that that's our only chance, Hazib. But there is no other way to go about that. Like I said, look at the other teams. Don't look at them now. Look at them when they started, when they weren't doing things. What did they do? It's the same blueprint. It's literally the same blueprint. Yeah, maybe you need a little bit of luck. Some of the teams, some of the shit not working out, maybe they get shit wrong. But it's when I look at the other teams in the league, they've mostly done the same shit. It's all the same thing. So we have to do the same. But there's nothing special that we're going to pull out of our ass and all of a sudden they're just going to be like, yeah, we got 600 million. Let's go blow it on all the top tier signings and dominate the shit out of everybody. You know, it's not going to happen. And also, to get there, again, like, you know, we look a little bit more attractive because we're in Champions League and we finished 3rd in the Premier League. But in the reality of the situation, that's one season. If you're looking at United over the past 5 years, it's been very up and down. And when you compare us in the past 5 years, okay, and I'm saying 5 years because that's like the most recent, and it's not like far, far long ago. Well, it's not 13 years ago. But you look at the past 5 years, okay, the other teams have been more stable than us. They are, in that regard, still a more attractive place than us. So for us to become more attractive, because maybe if we were, let's just say the last 5 seasons, if we weren't very up and down and finishing 8th and finishing 15th and not being in Europe and going to Europa League, if we just spent the last 3 to 4 seasons and we were consistently in the Champions League and we were playing in the Champions League and we were having good seasons in the Premier League, maybe we would be able to get Elliot Anderson. Maybe Elliot Anderson would actually want to come to us and not go to Manchester City. Maybe if we won, you know, a couple trophies in that time, besides the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, they'd be willing to come to us. But where we are, it's what we got. We have to just make up our ground little by little. %99 sure it's going to be Ederson, Fernandes, and Baleba. Well, we'll see. We will see. Madrid can't do much. They're going to have elections for now. If Perez leaves, Tchouaméni leaves. I don't think Perez will be leaving. Yes, our owners are multi-billionaires and we can't afford to spend 600 million pounds. Yes, because the club doesn't have 600 million. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to you. You like literally you don't know the rules, you don't understand things. You literally just say things because they sound good, but there's no meaning behind them and there's no like reality to it. So I've explained this to you before. If even if the Glazers or Sajim woke up today because they got hit on the head or whatever it may be, and they say, you know what, I want United to spend 600 million. We literally can't do it right now. It's impossible. It doesn't work that way. It literally doesn't work that way. Didn't spend anything in the midfield. 80 million on Pogba, like 70 million on Bruno, while Chelsea City will do that every season. Bro, we just got started, my friend. Liverpool won't stop. They will continue to spend. We got Europe and trying to do what we did last season again. I don't think we're doing what we did last season again. Also, we generate more money than them. We should be able to spend more than them. We generate more money than them, but have you seen our finances? We generate more money than them. We also are spending I don't know how many hundreds of millions on paying interest on the debt. Not even the debt. Forget the debt. The interest on the debt. So, yeah, the finances don't work like that either. The third guy will be Baleba, bro. Open your eyes. Okay. Yo, it's Baleba. Boo-hoo. I don't really care. Let it be Baleba. Yeah, but we're not going to talk about the ownership. We've talked about it a million times. They're still here. We have to deal with them. Are we Arsenal? Nobody said that. Results dictate things around here. There are people who want Euro sold and Buemo sold. Okay, but they're idiots. Carrick will get sacked if we don't get top 6. As he should. We were meant to be the biggest club in England, arguably in the world, but these are our standards accepting mediocrity. Yeah, that's what happens when you fall from grace, my friend, and you need to be humbled. So, you know, nobody's nobody is saying this is the elite pinnacle height of Manchester United. We're talking about a way to get back to that. But it appears when when people like you speak, you want to ignore the process to go through it. You just want to jump from point A to point B and achieve the ultimate goal. You're not ready to go through the whole thing, which is probably necessary because that's typically how it goes in football. So whether you think we are the greatest and biggest, whatever, we've fallen a long way. So we have a lot of work to do to get back to the top. Can never happen overnight. Not even if we got rid of the Glazers and we didn't get Ineos and we got a new ownership in. I've said this multiple times. It would probably still take us 2 to 3 years. We'd have no debt. We'd spend more money. We'd probably get more players. But to put everything together and hit the success, it would take that long. Because I don't have to look at my football club to know that. Look at every other football club. When you fall off, to get back to where you go, you don't fix it in a year, in one season, because you've obviously monumentally fucked up your club. So, and that's obviously what we've went through. So we just finished 3rd. We just had a good season in the Prem, and we're back in Champions League. And that's step 1. Now step 2, we need to maintain it. We are finding comfort in mediocrity just to hide the fact that our ownership cannot bring us to glory. We are playing into their traps. Whatever. I don't even know what that means. I don't buy the Tonali stuff. I don't think we're going to go anywhere near him. Well, all right. Well, fair enough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we do. I hope we do, because I rate him, and I think he's an exceptional player, and I would love to sign him. And I think he would be a perfect replacement for Casemiro. If we don't go for him, it's unfortunate and disappointing and a letdown, but whatever they decide to do, they better hope it's good enough. Because ultimately, they're in charge of this football club, and if we get hurt, they'll get hurt too. So. Yeah, I'm not buying the negativity from you. I completely disagree with what you're saying, Azib. I don't even think you're anywhere near to being accurate. I totally disagree with everything you're saying. We need Rice, not Tonali. So what is Tonali? A paperweight? Liverpool spent big on attackers, 75 million on Van Dijk. City of infinite money. They pay 500k wages for the bench is more quality than us. Okay. So explain to me what you would like us to do. Because whatever it is you're going to explain, we actually literally cannot do it. So the only thing that we can do is a realistic plan of what we're capable of doing within the financial means of what we need to do. That's it. Like, sorry to break it to you, but like, the fantasy that you're trying to live in doesn't exist. We operate in the real world. We are fucked up. We have to try and manage the situation as best as possible. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't the truth. I wish it wasn't what it is, but it is. So, deal with it like a man. Let's try and do something about it and see if we can get somewhere. That's literally where we are. Listen, if you guys think Baleba is the third guy, that's fine. I don't, it is what it is. I don't even really care. To be honest, I prefer Tonali. I prefer some other guys. If they go with Baleba, that's their choice. They better get it right. I'll be here watching and seeing how it goes. Because I tell you one thing, as much as I respect fan opinion and stuff like that, okay? A year ago, this entire fan base was jumping up and down and going crazy for Baleba. And he had one bad season, and now everybody is like he is the worst player they've ever seen, and they don't want him at Manchester United. So, it is what it is. Because the fans were so... Listen, if we signed him, the fans were so happy at that point. Yeah, we're getting he's world class. We're getting a world class player. They saw him do a shitty season at Brighton, and now nobody wants him. And if we sign him, it's a failure. But everybody knew that he was a baller because their ball knowledge is so elite that they were ready to take him in a heartbeat at the end of last season or the beginning of this season. But now that they've seen him play like shit at Brighton, we end up with Baleba. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. But you were ready to sell half the team for him. But now it's a disgrace. Now it's not good enough. But, So what I'm getting at is we go through all this stuff all the time. All right? People get very hyperbolic about things before we even see it play out on a pitch. We're not even in June. It's still May 27th. I ain't really trying to have this sort of conversation right now. You know, we got people talking about the transfer market like it's August 31st and we've done fuck all. We didn't even start. So just relax. Let it play out. We aren't that bad as they make us look. Like it's just strategy to execute future failures. But what does that mean? We aren't a club which is broke. Axe, go use Google and go look at the finances and go look at the experts that talk about the club's finances. We're not broke, but we cannot spend the money that these fucking other clubs are spending, bro. You don't understand how it actually works. You don't. You don't. I know you don't because of the things you're saying. It's quite clear. You literally don't understand how these things work, but yet you have an opinion like you think you know more than everybody and everything. You don't. You are wrong. Please don't swear. I'm sorry. I swear a lot, so. Baleba was mid the first season. Only reason I wanted him is because I wanted him mid. Well, Baleba is a baller, though, for me. It should have been Tonali, Baleba, and Mateus Fernandes, but Baleba will be priced out by Brighton. Listen, I think if we take everything that everybody is saying, so we're not getting, you know what I mean? Somewhere something's got to happen. I don't believe that we end up in the situation where nothing happens because we can't afford it. They can't afford it. Whatever you think of them, they can't afford it. So Baleba will be priced out of. Tonali we're going to get priced out of. Elliot Anderson's going to Manchester City. Tonali, we ain't getting him. So what are we doing then? So we're getting nobody, and we're doing nothing. So it is what it is then. Wrap it up. Let's not bother to watch next season. Let's just call it a day. And listen, we'll go away. Don't watch United for the next 10 years. Maybe the Glazers fucking sell. And we'll come back. I don't know what else to tell you. Anderson is possible. I think any deal that's on the table is possible. I think I do think Elliot Anderson is possible. There's a difference between possible and likely. But there is a possibility you could do that deal. There's a possibility you could do a Tonali deal. Don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know. I hope it does. But nothing has happened yet. I'm willing to wait and watch it play out, like I always do. And when it happens, then we talk about it in the way that's appropriately accordingly, okay? If we don't get Elliot Anderson, he goes to City, that day we have a conversation about that actually happening, because it's happened and it's done. And there's nothing we can actually, there's no more to do about it. If we don't get Tonali, he goes somewhere else, or whatever, or they announce the signing of Baleba, that's the day for this conversation, not today. But anyway, I've been sidetracked, and we got into a whole thing that we don't really need to get into at this moment in time. All right. So I'm going to continue with the updates because we got more stuff to talk about. We're an hour and a half into the show. I'm not doing a 3-hour show today. Okay. But everybody that's come in, I see we've got more subscribers. Thank you to the new subscribers. I appreciate you. I promise you we're not always like this. It's not always as heated. Sometimes it gets heated. Thank you everybody that smashed the like button so far, okay? And even though I'm getting a little bit annoyed, all right, I still appreciate all the people putting the opinions and stuff like that in the comments and getting involved in the show, all right? But let me just... We went down a rabbit hole that hasn't even happened yet, and we're talking about things like the negative consequences are already here, and, you know, there's a full summer in front of us, so it's not time for these types of talks. There's so much that can happen, you know. It's still the end of May. We didn't even enter June. We got Ederson coming in. We're moving on to the next signing already for the midfield. So we're not going to have a conversation like the sky is falling and the season's already over. Let's see where these are. This guy really didn't give me updates on Rashford. I mean, what a guy. What a fall from grace that page is. That guy used to be top tier with the news. Now he barely gives you anything. All right, so Marcus Rashford, real quick. All right. Obviously, Barcelona just signed Anthony Gordon for 80 million. Okay, he obviously plays winger, as we all know. Marcus Rashford plays winger as well. Is at Barcelona. They have been reluctant to pay us the money that they agreed to pay if they wanted him in the initial deal. They're playing this weird game of they would like to take him on loan again with a permanent sort of deal to be done at the end of that loan. United keep telling them, give us the money or fuck off, pretty much. And now with Gordon signing, okay, The Athletic has given us an update saying sources close to Marcus Rashford claim that no decision has been communicated to them. For their part, Barca executives admit that with Gordon's arrival, the chances of him staying are more complicated. The purchase option is valid until June 15th. So the 26 million pounds or whatever it is that was initially involved in the loan to Barcelona, they have until June 15th to pay it. So it's not a long time. They got about 2 weeks and change to pay it. If they don't pay it, he obviously is coming back to us on paper, contractually, right? But from there, then obviously, you know, we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, there is obviously some other clubs definitely interested. Marcus will have to make up his mind and deal with it. He wants to stay at Barca, but I mean, you know, Barca have an option to pay that money. I don't think we're not being unreasonable. And so, you know, if they don't pay that money, he's going to have to get on with it. And whenever he gets on with it, you know, this will probably get dragged out because he's going to the World Cup. England are expected to go pretty far. You know, so if they don't pay it by June 15th, this isn't going to get resolved until Rashford comes back from the World Cup, which will be, you know, somewhere in July. So, you know, we'll see. But there are clubs still like Villa, apparently Arsenal. I believe Spurs was sounded out as well, just to name a couple. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I know is that I'm telling you, there's not a chance, I believe, that Marcus Rashford will be playing for us. I think the hierarchy have made that call, and they don't want him back. And they don't strike me as people that they're going to be forced to take. I know we have PTSD of like the Arnold United and the Woodward United, where like we've been in some sort of a similar situation like this where we've been forced to keep players that we don't really want. But Ineos are not doing that. They're not doing that. I think that I mean, to me, they've showed that with just Garnacho getting rid of Rashford the first time. It was hard to get rid of him because of the wages. So, this was the other update. Barcelona won another loan deal for Marcus Rashford rather than exercising the £26 million clause in their existing deal. So listen, I'm not like ultimately worried like that. I would prefer if Barcelona just paid the money so we could put the whole thing behind us and it doesn't have to drag out into being a saga. And something that we have to continue to deal with. I'd rather get it out of the way. But if Barca don't pay the money, then it is what it is, and we'll figure it out later on, I guess, But in terms of they signed Gordon, so they're not going to, this narrative that, oh, they signed Gordon, so they're not going to keep Rashford, so Rashford's coming back to us and he's going to play for us again. I don't believe he will play for us again. I don't think that there is a chance that he will play for us again. Because I'm not saying he hates United, but the hierarchy doesn't like him, and he doesn't like the hierarchy. And I don't think him as a player, I think he's moved on. I don't think he wants to come back and play. And I don't think he's willing to come back and play under a regime that he doesn't like and he knows doesn't like him. Whether he likes the club or not itself, but I don't think he's willing to do any of that. So, and he's kind of made that quite clear, because it's not like he has like this, it's not like he's like, oh, I don't really want to stay at Barca because I want to come back to United. He's literally like, I want to stay at Barca. So I don't want to go back to Manchester United. If Barca doesn't take him back, if Barca doesn't take him, well, I'll have to suck it up and be like, all right, well, I got to go to another club that I didn't really want to go to, but, it is what it is. Well, what can I do? Barca didn't pay the money, and they're not going to pay the money for me, so... Bring Rash back, sell him to Barn for more. Says Richard. And Richard also says Anderson will not be on our team. Also, we have decided to sacrifice the left wing role and the striker role to strengthen our midfield. When you say sacrifice, Richard, do you mean like we could spend like more money in those positions, or are you saying you believe we're not making signings at all in those positions? Because there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, it's one thing like, if you wanted like more elite players, they're going to cost more money. And you're saying, well, we're sacrificing a bit there because we're not getting the, we're not getting like, we could get a more elite option, but they're going to obviously cost more money. Whereas like, we're saying like, oh, we're spending all the money in the midfield, so we're not making any signings, at all. Because I mean, the latter, in that we kind of do have to sacrifice the other positions. I mean, a little bit, because the midfield does have an absolutely massive of a hole in it, and it needs to be addressed. And like, I understand our circumstances at our club, we can't spend 500 million. So somewhere, somehow, we're going to have to address something very strongly, and the other ones, we'll probably have to address them, medium, I would call it. And if Anderson doesn't come to us, then he doesn't come to us. You know, that's just where I am with it. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to come. I've never said he's definitely coming. I don't know if he is. Some people feel very strongly and say he's not coming. I see reports that saying that it's not looking likely that he's coming. He's not coming. But I will go right up until the very day, until they announce, until I see Fabrizio Romano say, here we go, Elliot Anderson to Manchester City. I'm keeping it on the table as an option. I talked about Rashford earlier. But then also bring back Rashford and sell him to Bayern for more. I mean, we can do something like that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I think United would prefer, again, maybe you could do something like that. I think United is kind of in the spot right now where they're just like, we just want to sort of cut our losses and move on. And I don't think they necessarily want this to drag out. So they would prefer if Barcelona just pay the money so we can get the money and we can move on from this thing. Because bringing back Rashford and trying to sell him to Bayern or trying to sell him to another club is a whole nother like drawn out process in itself that you have to now allocate resources and time to and stuff like that. Where with the Barca thing, you know, the only thing is like, you pay us the money, you get the player. It's pretty set. So I think, you know, they could be forced into doing such a thing, but I think, you know, they're not necessarily, they're not going to really go, they don't give off the feeling like they're willing to go out of the way to just pull Rashford out of there. Feel like he's coming back to us and then just sell him to Bayern. But if that's the way it gets played, because Barca decide not to pay the money, right? Well, then, yeah, I mean, we got to try and, you know, hopefully Bayern would want him, sell him, or, you know, whatever other club, back to Villa, or, you know, hopefully, you know, some other club. I think there'll be a couple suitors out there. You know, the wages are still high, but because he had a pretty good season at Barcelona, there's definitely got to be more interest than when we originally, you know, pushed him out. He may come back and sit on the bench. I don't think he will, though. I don't think he will. It would be a waste of money, and I don't think they want that. I really don't believe that. I really don't believe that. I would be sort of astounded because I think it goes a little bit against. And again, you know, some of you people really dislike them and you don't trust a single thing about them. I try to be fairly balanced on them. They don't give me the vibes of that is something that they are willing to do. You're talking about people that many people have described them as penny pinchers. Getting a player like him that is on that amount of money, who is not really wanted and is going to be on the bench, is a waste of money. They would like to offload him. They would like to get some sort of a fee for him, and they would like to stop paying his wages. So I don't really see how they would, you know, allow that thing to sort of happen. I mean, unless Barca don't pay the money and literally every club's just like, yeah, I mean, we literally don't want him. So, like, we're just sitting there with no interest at all in Marcus Rashford, and we can't come to any sort of agreement on a deal with any club. And then he just has to, by default, be at our football club. But I don't see that very likely scenario happening. Richard says, we will bring signing midfielders, maybe a left back. Well, I think, listen, we need 5 at the minimum. I asked for 5 last season. We got 4. All right, we're in Champions League. We got more money. They got to get us 5. They got to get us 5. I'm a bit lost because I don't know what they, you know, the 3 midfielder thing. I understand. I think it's needed. I think it has to happen. And I think we're kind of forced into it because of the way just the situation has transpired. They ignored it last summer. Okay, Cass has left us. Ugarte isn't good enough. So, you know, we've ended in this situation where it's like we need to focus a lot and spend a good amount of money on it. There's nothing we could really do about it. We have to address this issue. But then the other positions, I'm a bit like, I don't know. I know we need them, but I don't know which one you pick. Like, if you had to pick one or the other, right? Because it's like, okay, we get 3 midfielders. We've been saying we kind of need a left winger. We need a left back. All right? We need a backup striker. We could potentially probably use some sort of a center back, right? Maybe. It's not necessarily an emergency, but it could be good, cushion. And it's like, okay, we're not going to be able to do all that. So like out of the remaining ones, you got to pick like one or two, and the other two, aren't going to get addressed. And it's like, I could see you get a left back, and then maybe it goes down to, well, backup striker or winger. I would probably go left winger, but there is the importance of the backup striker. So, I don't really know. But somewhere we're going to have to take a little bit of a hit. Because we were never going to address everything. It's impossible. But we have to make the best possible, concessions, I guess. The ones that will hurt us the least. What's the important announcement you have? You have won the lottery, or are you going to be the manager of the football club? And it's neither. I wish it was. What if United cannot sell him? Well, alternatively, if United cannot sell him, then we're stuck with him. But I think that's like a very low percent. I'd give it like a 10%. I think there's always a possibility that could happen, but I think it's very low. I'd be disappointed, and I would be surprised if that's what ends up happening. Why would we want Ederson? Pep is leaving. They have 115 charges against him, and he still wants to go to City. Well, I mean, we want him because he's a good player. Or he could be a good player for us. Or there's potential. Now, I don't know exactly why they're leading the race. They're leading the race because they have more money than us and they can offer him a better package. Or that, and because he's just like, I like City over United. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a problem. It's kind of normal. You're a player, you have a couple different options. You probably have one you prefer. I feel in City for a while, but my final decision, I want to go to United. I'm okay with that. It's the final decision, so I don't really have necessarily a problem with it. We're battling, We will be signing midfielders. Maybe yeah, that. Oh no, I like Marcus, but he could never reconnect with us. However, I wish him well. Well, I'm just saying, again, I don't think he hates the football club, but I don't think the hierarchy likes him, and I don't think he likes the hierarchy. So I don't see how that really works. And he left. So Mbeumo will be our second striker. Dorgu will be our left-sided player. So you think that we're just going to sign 3 midfielders and a left back and we call it a day? I mean, I'm not going to say that that's definitely not going to happen. I would be disappointed if that does happen, though. If that's what we do. If that's what we do, I don't think it's enough. I don't. I think somewhere in there's got to be a fifth. And it's got to be a left winger, or it's got to be a second striker. One of the two positions, whichever one. But you got to give us something a little bit extra. If they do what you're saying, I mean, to me, it's really disappointing because I feel like we should be able to do one more step extra. And as I've said multiple times, I'd it's always better to have the one extra than to not get that. It's not going to hurt us, It's going to give us a better chance. And so, if they don't do that, then I see it's very negative in the opposite way, in that, like, you may be potentially not doing enough, leaving us shorthanded, and we may suffer for that later on. So, I mean, it is a possibility. I mean, we've been running the Embuemo as the second striker thing. I was saying that the other day, like, I would like another striker. I think the Embuemo thing is an all right option. It worked a little bit, but it kind of stopped working in terms of, like, he doesn't really score as a striker. We still play decently good, and we've gotten results with him playing there. But I was like, that we could kind of have that as a third option, and just we could have a little bit more depth in our plans, in our flexibility, I guess. So instead of having, like, just two options, we'll have three options. And I think that would be, very positive thing to have, but I don't know. 100%. Breaking news, Areola to Crystal Palace, really? Not in this window. Well, we'll see. I mean, I hope for the best. I hope that these guys... I just hope that it's I just hope it's not as dark as everybody says it is. I can understand where some people come from. It's very hard to trust the management and what we've been through, and so I get that some people are just like, and I don't trust them fully, but I have a hope that to a certain degree, just do a job. My hope is that, like, these people that say, like, they're doing it for money, I'm like, well, if they do it for money, they gotta do something that's good so that they can make more money. And I'm just like, well, even if they are doing it all for money, hopefully they do a good enough job so that it's good enough for us to be successful, and they can make their money because they're gonna make it anyway. And then I guess it's kind of like a win-win. I mean, they win, we win, because we get to see our team do good things. But, yeah. Okay, what else did we have to talk about before we get out of here? Crystal Palace, they did win, didn't they? Had 0 trophies in their history until the beginning of 2025. Now they have 3. FA Cup, Community Shield, Conference League. Insane job by Oliver Glasner at the club. It's kind of crazy when you think about it that, I mean, just real quick, off on a tangent, that he's leaving. They had 0 trophies in their history. He's won them 3 since the beginning of 2025, and he's leaving. Like, that to me is a little bit insane. You know what I mean? Richard says, congratulations to Palace on their first ever European trophy. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's, I'm happy for them. It's cool. I like when teams like this that, they're not our rivals. But I like that they've gone out and accomplished, this. They've won a Conference League. Good for them. Like, they deserve it. They deserve it. It's a good story, It's a good story. Here we go. Sky is pulling up stats comparing Ederson to Casemiro. Why don't you put up a picture of them holding their passports next to each other as well, Sky? I don't even want to look at this because Ederson's playing in the Serie A and Casemiro's playing in the Premier League. I don't even really want to look at this. Like, this is what they do on Sky. It's like, no wonder people don't really watch this anymore. I don't think you could have gone to any fan channel on any platform and you would see any United fan pulling up stats of Ederson playing in the Serie A and compare it to Casemiro playing in the Premier League. I don't think anybody would do that, would do such a thing. Because it's just, why would you do it? We know better than that. I mean, he's playing, like, the Serie A is the Serie A, ain't the Premier League. There's no point in comparing the stats. Um, 9 Premier League clubs will play European football next season after Crystal Palace won the Conference League. Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester City, Villa, Liverpool, Palace, Bournemouth, Sunderland, and Brighton. I mean, the Premier League is getting crazy, dude. Like, literally half of the league is in European football. Basically, essentially. One less than half the league. But half of the league is playing European football. Like, and the way the coefficient thing goes in Europe, I don't see how England doesn't, like, I don't see how England can, like, not have all these spots. Like, it's like the Premier League is like a machine right now. We have all these teams in there, and then the way they rank the coefficients by points and stuff, it's like we have so many teams, and we have, like, the quality and better than a lot of the other leagues, that it's like impossible for us not to get these spots. So I'm just like, like, this season I knew that, like, I was like, unless all the teams just get absolutely battered, which I was like, there's no way that happens. I was like, the amount of teams that England has in the European competitions, I was like, England is definitely getting the 5th Champions League spot. Because there's no way. He's a different player from Casemiro. He is a bully, but we need that. Well, yeah, listen, like, I was saying, I don't think you were here, but I was saying, like, to me, Ederson, and I like the guy, like, I think he's a good player. I'm not going to say he's world class. Some other people are saying that he's trash. I'm not going to say he's trash. I'm not going to say he's world class. To me, I view him really as upgrade to Ugarte. I don't see him as the ultimate replacement to Casemiro. I mean, they play a similar position or the same position, whatever, sure. But I actually, Ugarte is supposed to play the same position as Casemiro as well. So I view him as an upgrade and an improvement to Ugarte. We still need somebody higher tier. Well, no matter who we sign, do not worry, because we will be there or thereabouts next season. Oh, I hope so. I kind of feel that way too. I feel like the squad is pretty decently good. I think the list we have of players that we're going to look after, I think if we get the amount of players that I think we need, 5, I think if we get 5 and 5 out of the list that we have, and they seem to be all of some sort of level of quality, I think we will be there or thereabouts, like you're saying. He is not trash, and he will be a third option. Yeah, I don't believe he's trash. Some people, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I get very angry by it because it's like people have like this, I don't know what it is. It's like football manager mentality or something, or it's like FIFA career mode mentality where they load up the career mode. They, do whatever glitch they have to do to give the club 1 billion in transfer fees. And they sign Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, and Yamal all in the first season before they even start the season. They go and win the quintuple, and they're like, give me the reins at United. I could do. I'd get us to win the Premier League in one season. Like, I don't know. This is like when I hear them talk. That's where my brain goes. It's like you're speaking like we're playing a game of Football Manager, and we're not. We're not playing a game of Football Manager. We're playing real life, and there's like real life circumstances that we have to deal with. That's why I get so frustrated about it, because it's just like, I know what you're saying. You guys have high aspirations and stuff like that. I'm not against that. I'm not trying to say we should accept mediocrity, but at the same time, you have to deal in where you are at the current moment and look to make progress forward. You can't just be sitting here and say, we're United, we should be spending 600 million, and we should be signing Yamal, and we should be signing Valverde, and we should be signing Vinicius, and and we go win the Premier League and the Champions League next season. Like, where are you living if you're thinking like that? Is where I cannot comprehend. Yes, in the real world, 11 Ronaldos would not work. You need a squad. But somebody somewhere would take 11 Ronaldos. You know what I mean? Somebody somewhere would be like, let's get 11 Ronaldos. Let's get 10 Ronaldos and 1 Messi. We'll win the league. We'll win the Champions League. We'll win the FA Cup. We'll win the Carabao Cup. We'll win the Community Shield. We'll win the Club World Cup Championship. We'll win the World Cup. We'll win the Euros. We'll win it all. So, I don't know. I lost all my sources, so I'm looking for it. Renosa says, I personally like the unsung heroes, although Ederson is a bargain signing. I do see this as a good squad signing if they complete the window. I think he will surprise the naysayers. And that's sort of where I'm at. That's sort of where I'm at with these things. All right? Like, that's why I don't know. It kind of gets under my skin a little bit, to be quite honest, because I don't like how people get so negative about a guy that half of them, I would say they don't watch the Serie A, and they don't watch Atalanta, and they don't know much about Ederson. The fact is that they get very negative because his name is Ederson, and it's not Tchouaméni, who they know from FIFA Ultimate Team because he's a beast. You know what I mean? This is where I get, that's why I get very frustrated. Because it's like, like Renoso said, and he put it much better than I have been able to put it the entire show, but there is a role for these sort of unsung heroes. Not every player has to be like this top tier echelon. Doesn't mean that we can't be good. We need squad players. We need, there's different levels of players throughout the team that they do their bits and roles. It's a team sport. You have your elites, you have your mids, you have your unproven talent that's very green, that needs to be molded. It forms together as one. Some of our community members have been saying for different periods of times, too many chefs in the kitchen at one time is not really a great thing. You have too many big personalities, too many of these top tier players. There's a lot of times that doesn't necessarily gel well. It's not always the best answer. I think the prime example is you look at PSG. They tried to do the Galactico thing. Okay, they had too many chefs in the kitchen. They were a disaster. Okay, they went there, they cleaned it up. They got players. Everybody jumps all over the place about, Barcola. Nobody knew who Barcola was like 3 seasons ago. The majority of people didn't know who Bradley Barcola was. But they got him, and now everybody would kill somebody for Bradley Barcola. They'd sell their left leg for Barcola. But nobody knew who he was. Lou, Man United, says it's the price that's worrying. Maximum 25 million. For who? For Ederson? I think 35 million is fine. It's reported to be 35 million pounds plus 3 million in add-ons. I think that's fine. In today's time, 35 million is like, it's well below average. I think an average price for a player now is 60 million is the average price. 60, 70 million. Most players go for that. If not, they go for more. So for 35 million, I think, 26-year-old, good squad option, it's not risky, and the wages aren't going to be a lot either, according to the reports. I think 35 million is perfectly fine. I'm okay with 35 million, especially because they reported it at one time that it was like 45 million. So that, that's closer to, that's right around 50. 35 I think is very good. Renosa says Park wouldn't be in an all-time 11, but he was so badass. Did Ji-Sung Park in today's time, when we signed Park, at that time, and we bring him in, if we went to go do that deal right now, our fans would fucking lose their mind. Park, who is this Park? He's who is this nobody? Who is he? You know what I mean? They would lose their shit. Not all of them, okay? I don't want to generalize everybody. All right? But there's this section in the fan base that they would lose their damn mind. Because who's Park Ji-sung? Never heard of Park Ji-sung. Who is this guy? He's got no talent. He's got no talent. He's not Zidane. He's not, Jude Bellingham or whatever fucking guy you want. But it's like, bro, you need the Park Ji-sungs. You need those guys. They make the team. It's part of the team. And he was good anyway. You know what I mean? He was good. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't like he wasn't Scholes, right? Like he wasn't like flashy like that, but he was a good player for us. I that's why I remember all those guys. The O'Shea's were important. O'Shea wasn't a world-class player in that regard like some of the other players, you know what I mean? But dude, that guy was so useful, so helpful. He could play right back, center back. I think we played him almost in every position at one point. And he went out there and he did a job. He wasn't doing step overs. He wasn't, doing anything like flashy. But that guy was part of our, he helped us. The West Browns. You need players like that to make up the team. Otherwise, we're not getting very far, Yes, for Ederson, he got only 1 year left on his contract. Is it 1 or 2? I thought it was 2. So, can I also point out, he was injured a total of 7 weeks. Also, like Kobe, his manager did not like him. Who, Ederson? No, listen, not every unsung hero is gonna work, and they're not, sometimes they fail, but I'll never knock trying something new, okay? The worst case scenario, here's my thing. In my opinion, in my mind, the worst case scenario, United could have been like, we're not selling Ugarte because, it's a pain in the ass to do so, and we're going to take a loss, and we don't really want to do that. So we'll keep Ugarte here. We just won't sign Ederson. All right? So go ahead. You got to use Ugarte again. You don't get Ederson, and maybe we get like some other midfielder or something like that. And that's sort of where I look at it. And I'm like, well, I'd rather get Ederson and try Ederson than watching Ugarte try again, because he's gotten his chances. He hasn't impressed. So I can't knock something before I see it, And I've been encouraged a little bit by these guys. I think they've done decently well with the players that they've been bringing into the football club. We've had a better sort of success ratio to a certain degree. They haven't gotten everything right. They're never going to get everything right. It's literally impossible. But I do think, I always go back to this with the Sunday Lemons. thing to me was very encouraging. I don't think we've made an actual signing like that in like literally probably since Sir Alex Ferguson was around, in terms of like it was a cheap 18 million pounds 23-year-old from the Belgium league, and signing of the season. And I'm like, well, if they could do that, I kind of trust him a bit to do a good job in the rest of it. So so he was yes, Ederson. So he was injured a total of 7 weeks, and also like Kobe's managing like. I wasn't familiar with that. So, but no, I'm ready for him to come. I heard supporters bitching at Old Trafford when we bought Ole. That's what I'm saying. That's usually how it goes, It's usually how it goes. But I just like, I don't really like to do that sort of thing. I understand it happens. I just don't really like to do that thing anymore. I think I used to be like that once upon a time. And I guess somewhere along the line, I must have learned a lesson or something, back in my younger days. But I don't really like to do that. I like to, I don't know. It's Ederson. It's not like we're not getting like Lucas Torreira or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's not somebody that's like definitely washed and definitely trash. Like, could be good, could be bad. I hope it's good. I think it could go kind of either way. You know what I mean? Because you never really know with any player. But he does have some good qualities. I think for the fee for signing for him and the position that he's going to hold in the team, I think is needed. So I think it's a positive thing. And, once the season starts and he puts on the United kit and he's playing matches for us, I think that's the time. Then we bitch and moan. If he's not getting it done on the pitch for us, then let's bitch and moan. You know what I mean? And we'll say he's trash if he's playing like trash. I don't like to do it before the guy's even had a chance to kick a ball, because like I was explaining before, this. As much as I love the fan opinion, and I try to respect as much of it as I possibly can, there's been so many times where there's like, we got to get that player because he's a baller, and everybody jumps on it, and that player flops like no tomorrow. So when you tell me that player, we got to get him because he's the answer and he's a baller, and he flops, I have a hard time listening to those same people that then tell me that guy is not a baller and he's shit, so we shouldn't be signing him, and it's a disgrace of a signing. I wish Vitek would stay as number 2. I mean, I would like to do that as well, because at this point, Bienda's going back to Turkey, okay? And Onana has to be sold, and I don't really want either one of them staying. There's no reason for them to be staying, especially Onana, because the money we paid for him and the wage we gave him, there's no, he shouldn't be sitting on the bench for what we gave him. Sandy Lemons is obviously our number 1, and we need a number 2. So unless, I'm not too familiar with the goalkeeping market and how that's looking right now, it's probably like my least knowledgeable sort of area. I don't know if there's like, somebody out there available on a free that's decent or whatever it is, but we don't really need to be spending, in my opinion right now, we don't need to be spending any sort of really money or time on this goalkeeping position, because we have our number 1 goalkeeper, and it's a number 2 goalkeeper, and that guy, unless Sene gets hurt, he's not really going to play much. He'll get like the Carabao Cup maybe, and maybe FA Cups or something like that. But I don't view it as like I don't view it as importance. It's not something that we should be really delegating too much time or really any money to. No, because I did see a couple of reports that like United was looking at this goalkeeper, and They're quoting like 40 million. I'm like, 40 million? We have a starter. What are we spending for? What would we spend 40 million on a goalkeeper for? We can't be doing that right now. We have our starter. We have Vitek. He could be number 2. 2 young guys, I think, with Heaton in the background because he signed another deal. And just let them go for it. We already have a guy. We don't have to waste any time. We don't have to waste any money. Yeah, I agree with you. You have convinced me on Ederson. I wasn't really trying to convince you to change your mind. Makes sense. Better gamble on Ederson agenda, rely on Agarte. True. Well, that's just how I look at it. Like, you know, some people want to get all negative again because it's like, you know, his name is Ederson and it's not, you know, it's not Tuchemeni or something or, you know, insert top class player. But it can work. It can work. You know, if you build out the squad properly, not everybody has to be a superstar, but they have to be a player that, you know, contributes to the team and stuff like that. So, if we get the pieces sorted and they gel together, well, as a squad, we'll be okay. And I think we've seen that this season. I mean, even the point under Ruben, okay? Like, we finished 15th. We got in a couple transfers. We got some people out that were maybe, you know, not getting the job done or their attitude or whatever personality wasn't great. And we saw this season, even with Ruben, with the troubles that he had and like, you know, that period wasn't like the most positive. The group of the team, they were still together. Like we played some shit matches and it was some shit performances, right? But there was a togetherness about it. They weren't like pointing fingers and throwing their teammates under the bus and basically like, you know, I do my job, but that guy sucks and like, you know, I ain't giving him the ball because I don't rate this guy. Like they were a lot more together. The group is a lot more solid. It could get even more solid and stronger, but the group of players that we have right now, it's a lot more solid than 2, 3, 4 years ago, for sure. No agenda, sorry then. It's not an agenda. Better gamble on Ederson than rely on Agarte. Well, I mean, that's where we were in the past once upon a time. Like, we needed new players. We used to be like, yeah, but, you know, it's either a pain in the ass to do so, or we don't know how to do it, or it's just bad for the books because we're going to take a loss, so let's just keep that guy and not get anybody new. And I'm like, well, I don't really like that. You know, if something's not working, it's not working. Maybe you have to do something that, you know, you feel like, well, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world, but let's give it a shot because you never know. You know, life is like that. Sometimes, I guess the best way I could put it is, you ever been in a situation where like, you have an option to do something or not do something, and you get that feeling like, I really don't want to do it, because you've already played out the scenario in your head that like, I'm going to go do this, and you know, this is going to happen, and I really don't want to deal with this, or like, you know, I just don't want to, I know it's going to go bad. You know what I mean? And did you ever actually then just go do it anyway? Because you just were like, you know, I really don't want to do it, but I got to do it. And you go do it, and you go, and then after you go, you know what? That actually didn't go any of the way that I preconceded in my head. It actually was pretty positive experience. That's sort of how I look at that, or this. In Europe, in the last 15 minutes, and you're winning 1-0, and Ederson comes on and protects the back line, his fee is paid. There you go. There you go. Vitek is a 6'4" build, like a brick shithouse, and I would promise him FA Cup and League Cup. Yeah, I mean, I you know, I don't know. I get a little bit worried because I feel like he's a bit. I feel like he's at the place where he's like really like, are you gonna give me a chance or not? Are you gonna give me a chance or not? Are you gonna give me a chance or not? And I feel like he's been really patient, and I just don't know what the club. I feel like the club are not going to make him the number 2. You know what I mean? and they're going to send him out on loan again. And I just feel like at some point, the guy can only be so patient and wait for so long. And I hope we don't force his hand to go somewhere else. Because he does only have one career, and obviously he has aspirations, and he would like to, I'm sure his aspiration is to be the #1 Man United goalkeeper, but at some point, we have to give him something that shows that we have, there's some sort of path that way, there's some sort of trust or belief. And if we don't give him that at some point, then, like regular human beings would do, they'd be like, well, you guys don't believe in me, and I feel like I'm being undervalued here, and I can probably go somewhere else and grow. So I hope that doesn't happen. I don't know what they plan to do with him. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't really understand the goalkeeping thing too much. It's my least known position in terms of my entire life, I've never really cared too much about the aspects of a goalkeeper. Obviously, very basically, just save the ball for me, okay? And don't make fuck ups back there, but just save the ball. But to me, as I look at it, I don't think it's a big, I don't understand why he can't just be the #2. You know what I mean? I don't understand what it is that they are looking at, that they're yeah, we can't put him there. We need to go and get some other guy, and he's got to go play out on loan. And I'm just why though? I don't get it. I don't get it. Because I'm also, look where you're loaning him out to. You're loaning him out to these really lower weird leagues. So I'm what? So is he not good enough to play against a team in the League Cup or the FA Cup? He can't play a Premier League team? Is that what you're telling me? So, you have nearly done 3 hours, Eric, have I? No, it's 2.5. And we're gonna end the show in the next 10 minutes. So that is where he is at. I went to watch him play for Bristol, and he was outstanding. Did you? I take your word for it. I listen, I want to see the guy. Like I always say for everybody, I want to see him, for real. I'm not gonna watch Bristol. And I don't really watch the youth teams too much. Every once in a while I pop in, have a look, but I'm not dedicated like that to that. But I would like to see him get an opportunity so I can actually see, and then I'd be yeah, Richard was on the money with that one. I like the look of this guy. He's got those qualities that he was talking about, and yeah, so I'd like to see him get the opportunity. I don't know what they're gonna do. He said he did not eat to the chat for hours on end. Was there anything else that I didn't, that was important that I forgot to cover? What is going on? Yeah, so pretty much Ederson, we're just waiting for United to basically just call it out. I guess to just put pen to paper. Everything is pretty much set. And then the next player will be interesting because, as Mateus Fernandes was sort of really hot the other day. It pushed a little bit towards Tonali, sort of with a big statement saying that Tonali is the next player we're going for today. So, we'll see. I think, Mateus Fernandes Um, in that regard, I don't think that deal is very far along in any sort of way. So I wouldn't expect, if we sign Ederson by the end of this week, I wouldn't expect, it'd probably take like another 2 weeks or so for anything happen for one of these other guys. So, 100% better than Onana. Well, that I believe. That I don't even need to. I don't think I need to see him play. I would say that without even, very ill-advised. Something I usually would never do, but I would say that without even actually seeing him play. Fernandes will be next. Well, I hope so. I just want to get them in. So, whether it's Tonali or Fernandes or whatever, I don't really care necessarily the order. I just want us to get the players in. So I hope whoever it is, I hope we could do it quickly next couple weeks. Now I do have to make the announcement that I said that I was going to make in the beginning of the show. And there was a reason why I held off, because I like to sometimes bury these things 2.5 hours into the show, because only the real ones will make it 2.5 hours, and the rest of the people that aren't the real ones, they don't really need to know these things. So yesterday, I did not stream because I woke up to the news that my uncle had passed away. So that's why I had to cancel yesterday's show, because we were dealing with that as a family, and my uncle lives in Malta. So unexpectedly and obviously out of nowhere, I now have to go to Malta because I have to go for the funeral and I have to go be with my family. So obviously that wasn't really part of the plan for this to happen. So I will be leaving June 1st to go to Malta. So, obviously like June 1st, I won't be able to stream because I'll be flying. And, June 2nd, I don't know, because that's the day I get there. So, and then I got to juggle some things around because I don't know the exact date of the funeral. It's going to be shortly around there. So I got to deal with that. And, so I'm just letting everybody know that I'm going to try and do what I usually do, which is I will try and continue to stream. The schedule is going to be a little bit hectic because it's a bit unknown. I don't know, how it's going to unfold. But I'm going there, and it's going to be like this from June 1st to about June 22nd, 23. I'll be back on the 22nd. So we won't have this background. All right. So, yeah, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. It was, it's very sad. It's very tough. It was, very unexpected. It wasn't like, it wasn't like he was like ill and he was like in a hospital bed and things weren't looking too good. It just it happened out of nowhere, so yeah, so we have the remainder of this week, of course, okay, which will be normal. I will be back live again tomorrow, and actually, no, I'm sorry. Tomorrow I can't because I have to do something for work wise. I might go live maybe a little bit early, or I'll do one of the short videos that I promised that I might do. Maybe I'll just do a small little update, small little video pre-recorded, because I have to go do something at 4 p.m. here. So I won't be, I have to travel. So it's going to be too early to do a show. When I come back, it'll be too late. Unfortunately, I would like to, because the videos, the channel, it's doing very well right now. I want to keep the momentum going to try and grow the channel as much as possible. I mean, we're at 3,370 subscribers. We just gained another 20. We have really good momentum. So, I've been waiting for this sort of opportunity. So, but yeah, tomorrow I can't because I got to go do something that involves work. But I will do Friday and we will do Saturday and we will do Sunday, and then Monday I'm flying. So um, yeah, Monday I'm flying. So yeah, um, who cares? Your family is more important. No, no, no. I know that. I know that. Um, rest in peace, bro. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a huge Stoke City fan, man. He was a huge Stoke City fan, the biggest Stoke City fan there probably ever was. So up the Stokes, and he was a good man with a great heart, and he's deeply already missed. So I gotta go there. I gotta go there for my cousin. He's like my brother. And he's had a rough 8 months. He had some things going on before this, and now his father suddenly passed away, and so it is what it is. It's life. Some shit like this happens. There's nothing you could do. But I just wanted to let you guys know because I was saying like we're gonna go live every day. We're gonna, you know what I mean, and then all of a sudden it's had to change. So yeah, we'll finish out the week as much as possible, excluding tomorrow, and hopefully nothing major happens tomorrow. And then I'll be over there and I'll try to adjust accordingly, as best as I can. So yeah, just do a pre-record and take care of the family business, and people that like the channel, they will be here. Well, yeah, you're all right. You're all right. Now listen, everybody's usually great. I mean, we got some new people, so want to let them know. But yeah, I mean, listen, the people that are always here are always here anyway. You know what I mean? There's times that I wasn't able to do a show for 7 days straight. I come back, I do a show, everybody's here. It, you know, like I did a show the day before. So, but yeah, it is what it is. So I just thank you guys for all the support. And I appreciate you guys, and it's been amazing, and I enjoy the conversations with you guys always, and I'm happy you guys are here. I'm happy you found the channel, and I'm not worried about any of you guys leaving me. All right. So I know we've been together for a while now, so that I know I can count on you guys to be here no matter what. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just I just had to make that announcement. I didn't want to do it in the beginning of the show. So as for the close knit family, at the end of the show, 2.5 hours in. So yes, please, anybody, if you're in the Discord or whatever, if anybody's asking around, because they didn't catch the show or something like that, and they're wondering what happened, and keep them informed for me. But yeah, I mean, I try to sort it out. But where's my schedule? June, yeah, 1st, 2nd, Monday and that Tuesday is probably not going to work. And then I need to get the actual date for the for the funeral, so I can figure out what's going on, so I could tell you exactly when. But yeah, but then after, once we do the funeral and all that stuff, and it'll be a lot more calmer, and then that way I'll be able to do the shows. I got to figure out though, because for me, I usually, and I like the time that I do it at, which is like 3:30 p.m. here. But because Malta is 6 hours ahead, so that's about 9:30 p.m. So I kind of got to see how that goes there as well, because I don't really know what I'm going to be doing there, at around that time. So hopefully I'll have enough free time to be doing the shows and stuff like that. Thanks, Eric, and my sympathy to your uncle's family. Yep, thank you, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Up the Stoke, up the Stoke. And yeah, just rest in peace. We'll miss him. Uncle Peter. Uncle Peter was his name. Uncle Peter. He was a great guy. So, we all miss him deeply already. But what can you do? It's part of life. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the condolences and stuff like that. So, but other than that, listen, we've gotten to the end of the show. We discussed a lot today. We've covered pretty much all the major talking points and news and updates and stuff like that. So rest in peace, Peter. Your spirit is free. Yes. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. And yeah. So like I said, unfortunately, no live tomorrow. If it permits it, like if there's actually something, which usually there's news, but if there's something decent to, sort of do a little bit of a pre-recorded update video tomorrow, I'll try and get one done. If not, you won't see it. But then we will be back Friday, 8:50. Well, I've been doing them at 8:30, so 8:30 p.m. UK time. We'll be back. We'll finish out the week as strong as possible, and then we go from there. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody, and thank you everybody that smashed the like button. It's a massive help to the channel. So I greatly appreciate you for that, and shout out to all the new subscribers. Shout out to all the day ones. Shout out to everybody getting involved in the chat. You guys make the show worthwhile, of course. Top 3 fans today from YouTube. Not my ranking, so don't get mad at me if I don't if I don't call your name. I'm not doing it. Mr. Reynoso is number 1. Lucky Singh number 2. And Richard Hawkins, 1958, is number 3. So those are our top 3 for today. I always try to remember to do that. So, yeah, listen, everybody just have a good day. Stay safe. Be good. And we'll see each other. 100% we'll see each other on Friday, okay? We'll talk again. So, take care. And, yeah, we'll see you then.